If you have ever wondered why Christians place so much weight on the cross, this episode is for you. The cross can look like a grim symbol, even disturbing. Why would anyone make an execution device the center of their faith? Why not choose the manger, or the miracles, or the resurrection alone? The answer is simple and heavy. The cross is where the Bible's rescue plan becomes concrete. It is where God's justice and God's mercy meet. It is where sin is exposed, evil is confronted, and love is proven with blood. To understand the cross, you need to understand sacrifice, not as superstition, but as a language. In the Old Testament, sacrifice is a way of saying, sin has a cost. Brokenness damages relationship. Guilt is not just a feeling, it is a reality. When you harm someone, something is owed. Something must be repaired. Modern people often want forgiveness with no cost. But in real life, forgiveness always costs. If someone steals your money and you forgive them, you absorb the loss. If someone betrays you and you forgive them, you absorb the pain. You do not erase the damage. You carry it so the relationship can have a future. That is what makes forgiveness so hard. It is also what makes it powerful. In the Old Testament, sacrifices were signs that forgiveness is not cheap. They were also signs that God provides a way back. Blood, in biblical language, represents life. To pour out blood is to pour out life. The message is that sin leads to death, separation, and decay. Sacrifice is a living symbol that life must be given for restoration. Now, sacrifices in Israel were not meant to be magic. They were not meant to bribe God. They were meant to teach and to point forward. They taught the people that God is holy and sin is serious. But God is also merciful and provides atonement. Atonement means covering, cleansing, making peace, repairing the breach. Two Old Testament pictures matter here. First is Passover. Israel is enslaved in Egypt. God delivers them, and the Passover lamb becomes the sign of rescue. The lamb's blood marks the homes, and judgment passes over. The point is not that blood is magical. The point is that rescue involves substitution and protection. Life is spared through a provided sacrifice. Second is the Day of Atonement. Once a year, Israel had a special day where the priest made atonement for the people. One goat was sacrificed, and another, the scapegoat, symbolically carried the sins away into the wilderness. The imagery is clear. Sin must be dealt with, and sin must be removed. These rituals created a hunger for something final. Because the sacrifices had to be repeated, the problem remained. The heart remained. The people remained inconsistent. The prophets said a deeper cleansing was coming. A new covenant, a new heart, a final rescue. Then Jesus arrives, and John the Baptist calls him the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. That is not poetic decoration. It is a claim. Jesus is the fulfillment of Passover and atonement. He is the final sacrifice that the earlier sacrifices pointed toward. Now, let us walk toward the cross the way the Gospels do, because it matters how Jesus gets there. Jesus is not trapped. He is not surprised. He predicts his suffering. He moves toward Jerusalem, knowing it will cost him his life. This is not a victim stumbling into tragedy. This is a king choosing sacrifice. In the final meal with his disciples, Jesus takes bread and wine and gives them new meaning. He speaks of his body and blood. He speaks of a new covenant. This echoes the covenant language from earlier episodes. Jesus is saying the new covenant is about to be sealed, not with animal blood, but with my life. Then Jesus goes to a garden, Gethsemane, and we see the cost. He prays in agony. He asks if the cup can pass, yet he submits. This shows you the cross is not easy for him. It is not casual. It is not theater. The cross, the fact that Jesus chooses it reveals the depth of love. Then betrayal happens, not from an obvious enemy, but from a friend, Judas. The story is telling you that evil often enters through intimacy. Jesus is arrested, mocked, tried under corruption, and condemned. Now, here is an important point. The cross exposes human systems. Religious leaders manipulate. Political leaders wash hands. Crowds swing from praise to hatred. Soldiers abuse power. Friends run away. In the cross, you see humanity's worst gathered into one moment. The cross is a mirror held up to the human heart. Then the nails. Crucifixion was designed to humiliate and to torture slowly. It was Rome's message: do not challenge power. Jesus is stripped, shamed, and lifted up. The king hangs like a criminal. This is where Christianity becomes shocking. God does not defeat evil by avoiding suffering. God defeats evil by entering suffering. So what does the cross mean? First, the cross means sin is real and serious. God does not shrug at injustice. God does not call cruelty a small mistake. The cross is a judgment on sin. It is God saying, evil destroys and it must be dealt with. Second, the cross means God's love is costly. God does not demand that humans pay the full debt alone. God absorbs the cost. Just as real forgiveness costs the forgiver, the cross is God carrying the cost of forgiveness. Third, the cross means substitution. Jesus dies for us. This is not sentimental language. It means he takes our place. He bears what we deserve. He carries the weight of human rebellion and its consequence. This is why Christians say there is no condemnation for those in Christ, because the judgment has been absorbed. Fourth, the cross means reconciliation. Sin separated humans from God. The cross repairs the breach. It opens the way back, not by pretending sin is fine, but by dealing with it. Before we move on, it helps to see the cross through a few simple windows, because the Bible uses more than one picture to explain it. One window is the courtroom. In a courtroom, guilt is not removed by pretending it is not there. Justice must be satisfied. The New Testament uses words like justified, which means declared right. The cross is God's way of being both just and merciful. Sin is judged, but the sinner can be forgiven because Jesus bears the judgment. Another window is debt. Sin is not only breaking rules, it is creating a moral burden that we cannot carry forever. The cross is the debt canceled, not because the debt was fake, but because the cost was paid. Another window is the family. The cross does not only clear your record, it changes your status. The New Testament speaks of adoption. That means you are not merely tolerated, you are welcomed. You are brought into belonging. The cross is not only pardon, it is homecoming. Another window is cleansing. Many people live under shame, not just guilt. Guilt says I did wrong. Shame says I am wrong. The Bible speaks of cleansing because shame clings like dirt. The cross is not only forgiveness, it is washing. It is God saying you are not permanently stained. Another window is victory. The cross looks like defeat, but the New Testament says it is triumph over the powers of evil. Evil tried to destroy Jesus, and in doing so, it revealed itself and lost its claim. The cross is like a trap sprung. The enemy overreached, and God turned the weapon into a doorway. Fifth, the cross means victory. This may be the most surprising one. The cross looks like defeat, but the New Testament says it is a triumph over the powers of evil. Evil tried to destroy Jesus, and in doing so, it revealed itself and lost its claim. The cross is like a trap sprung. The enemy overreached, and God turned the weapon into a doorway. Now, there is a detail in the Gospels that is too important to miss. When Jesus dies, the temple curtain is torn. That curtain separated the Holy of Holies, the place symbolizing God's presence. The tearing is a symbol that access is opened. The old barrier is removed. The message is clear. Through Jesus' sacrifice, the way to God is open. So how do you respond to the cross in everyday life? First, you stop pretending. The cross tells the truth about you. You are more broken than you like to admit. Your sin is not cosmetic. But the cross also tells another truth. You are more loved than you dared to hope. God did not come to shame you into change. God came to die to bring you home. Second, you drop self-salvation. Many people live as if they must earn worth. They grind for approval. They perform for love. The cross says, stop. Your worth is given, not achieved. You do not buy your way into God's love. You receive it. Third, you learn a new kind of strength. The world calls strength the ability to dominate. The cross calls strength the ability to sacrifice. The world calls victory the ability to crush enemies. The cross calls victory the ability to absorb evil without becoming evil. Fourth, you learn how to forgive. Forgiveness is not denial. It is costly love. When you forgive, you echo the cross. You choose to carry cost rather than spread damage. That does not mean you stay in unsafe situations. It means you refuse to be ruled by vengeance. Fifth, you find hope in suffering. The cross means God is not distant from pain. God has scars. That means when you suffer, you are not alone. God does not shout advice from the clouds. God enters the darkness. There is also a discipleship side to the cross that Jesus makes unavoidable. He says, "Take up your cross and follow me." That does not mean hunt for pain. It means die to the old self that demands to be worshipped. It means say no to the ego that needs to win every argument, the greed that needs more, the lust that consumes, the bitterness that refuses to release. The cross is not only something Jesus does for you, it becomes the pattern of how you live with him. That is why Christian community gathers around the cross again and again, especially in communion. Bread and cup are simple. They are not impressive, but they are powerful reminders. You do not save yourself. You receive, you remember, you return, you are reformed around grace, not around performance. Now, many people ask, if Jesus died for sin, why do Christians still struggle? Because the cross is the decisive victory, but the transformation is a journey. Forgiveness is instant when received. Growth takes time. The cross breaks the power of sin's claim, but habits still need healing. The foundation is secure because the cross is done. Let us end with one clear picture. Imagine you are drowning in debt you cannot repay. Every day you work, but it never clears. Then someone steps in, pays it fully, and signs the receipt with their own life. You are free, but freedom is not only a feeling. It is a new identity. The cross is the paid receipt. It says the debt is dealt with, and you can live as a free person. And this is why the cross is not an accessory in Christianity. It is the center. It is the moment God says, I will not abandon you. I will not minimize evil, and I will not demand that you fix yourself alone. I will carry you. But the cross is still not the end of the story. If Jesus stays dead, the cross becomes a tragic symbol of love. The Bible claims something bigger. The tomb becomes empty. The sacrifice becomes the doorway into new life. That is episode 9, the resurrection, where the story turns from forgiveness into fresh creation.